This story that I'm about to tell you about today is one that I was contacted about a couple months before Halloween by a Girl Scout group in Toganassee. And they wanted to know if I could come out and tell some campfire stories. Well, I could look up a bunch of campfire stories, but I thought I would write one. And this is a short story, but it's a goodie. In fact, I told it to my sister tonight at my son's birthday party. When we were kids, we had what was called latchkey kids. Now, I don't know if you know what a latchkey kid is, but that's the poor kid that had to come home after school, no after school activities. You couldn't do band, you couldn't do football, basketball, or anything like that. You had to come home and unlock the door and let yourself in. And if you had siblings, brothers or sisters, you had to make sure that they got home. And once they got home, you locked the door. And you stayed in that house for 2, 3, maybe 4 hours or more until your parents came home, one, your mom or your dad. Well, as a latchkey kid, excuse me, we had certain rules. And I'll try to remember them all. Number 1 was never bring home other kids. Number 2 was leave that stove alone because you'll burn the house down. Number 3 was you had to get your homework done before you watched television. Number 4 was, trying to remember, they gave you a list of telephone numbers for emergencies. And those lists included the fire department, the police department, relative next door, or a uncle or aunt or someone you could call. And the last rule was, I have to stop and think. Oh, if a stranger came to the door and they knocked on the door, first of all, you didn't answer. But if they insisted by knocking on the door, you'd tell them your mom or dad were in the bedroom and that you were not supposed to wake them and that, they'd have to go away and come back some other time. Well, those were the rules. Well, on this particular day, we had just started to watch TV. And we watched certain shows on TV. We were a TV generation. I don't know if any of you were like that or not, but our generation, we watched TV a lot. And there were some shows that we used to watch, and we would say, gee, those people aren't anything like us, but it's sure nice to watch them. You would see the kids that came home after school, and there was always somebody home. Buffy and Jody and Mr. French. Big sister, gee, I can't remember her name. Betty. Big sister Betty was always home to look after. Andy Griffin had Aunt Bee. There were a number of shows like that, and we'd look at them kind of skeptical and say, gee, those kids don't know what it's like to be a latchkey kid. Well, on that particular day, it was like just about Halloween. And we're sitting at home and we're looking and talking about what type of costumes we were going to wear and what type of tricks we were going to get and how much treats we were going to get. And we were sitting around talking, but of course, this was just before Halloween. And the weather was nasty, as it was all the time in Iowa, it appears. It was raining. It was nasty out. The wind was blowing, and it was cold. And back then, houses weren't as well insulated as they are now. In some houses, that is. And the windows and the window panes, you could hear the wind woo, blowing through. And it would really scare us kids thinking about that. At the same time, we're watching television, we hear about this notorious murderer who had broken out of jail, and he was out in the community. Well, us kids were pretty scared about that. And all of a sudden, we're watching television and the lights go out. Whoosh! Actually, it went, and the lights went out. Well, we're sitting there and we're thinking, well, what do we do? And it's all of a sudden the house starts getting cold, electricity's off, house gets cold. And I go into my mom's room in the dark, fumbling around, and I pull a blanket off of her bed and I bring it in and I wrap us around that blanket on the couch. Well, my sisters and things they're starting to worry. Mom's late, she's not here, this weather's bad. And they started to cry. My youngest sister started to cry. And all of a sudden, I thought, well, I got to do something to keep them from being too scared. So I remembered a song that Frank Sinatra sang on the Mickey Mouse Club. And it was about this ant. And the song went, when you're feeling down and your chin's on the ground, there's a lot to be learned. Just look around. Whoops, there goes this little old ant. He thinks he can move a rubber tree plant. Everyone knows an ant can't
Move the rubber tree plant.
'cause he's got high hopes. He's got high hopes. He's got high apple pie in the sky. You go on, keep going. Just remember that ant. Whoops, there goes another rubber tree.
There goes another rubber tree. Oops, there goes another rubber tree.
And we sang a couple verses about that, about a ram trying to knock a hole in a dam and so forth. And we were pretty well relaxed. And then all of a sudden, we hear this noise coming from the kitchen. Bang, 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 bang. And all of a sudden we hear this big crash and the crash of glass. Well, we're not about to walk back there and find out what happened. We're pretty scared. And all of a sudden, we look and we see the latch on the front door. And our hearts are going. And the latch opens and the door swings open. And all of a sudden we hear, "Are you kids okay? Is everyone all right?" And we knew it was our mother. And we said, "Yes, ma'am, we're okay." So we got through that. Mom sat with us till the lights came back on, the house warmed up, and then we went to do some investigating into the kitchen. Well, we found out in the kitchen that bang bang was the screen door banging against the side of the house. We had a latch that, the old hole and key latch, and it had come loose and it had banged against the house. and it had swung back with so much force that it broke the glass in the storm door. And that's what the crash was. So to this day, my sisters and I, about this time of year, just a little bit before Halloween, we talk about this. Oh, there was one more part of it. We remembered about that guy that had escaped. Well, when all this was going on, we were kind of worried that when somebody had come to the back door and made that noise, we thought it might have been him. And we said, well, nobody will be around to tell about us poor little latchkey kids. Could you?